Good morning. Good morning. If you can hear the sound of my voice, good morning. Hey, welcome to Pacific Unitarian Church. We had quite the evening here last night. So those of you who were here last night and here this morning, tell us your secret for stamina. Welcome to Pacific Unitarian Church on this beautiful morning. I don't know if you guys know this, but you've got your hymnals right now, and I encourage you to sort of look in the back there, because there's just some beautiful stuff back here. I'm going to read a little tiny part of it. It says, "Come into this place of peace, and let its silence heal your spirit. Come into this place of memory, and let its history warm your soul. Come into this place of prophecy and power, and let its vision change your heart." If this is your first time visiting us, we ask you to please have lunch on us. We have care for your children before and during services. If you have some announcements, please be sure to let Gabby know or someone to know that you have an announcement to make. I'm a little short on announcements today, which is probably fine. Does anybody have anything burning other than my addressing the auction dinner? Good. So last night's auction was wonderful. Those things that still have room for people to bid on are out on the table by Barbara Paulson facing the... Actually, I don't know which way that is. Is that west? Okay. It's confusing. So anyway, you can still bid on those things. If you'd like to know what you won from bidding yesterday, you can go into the library and they will let you know. And if you're ready to pony up, that's a time you can do that as well. If you're hosting something, you can go in there and find out how many people will be attending your event. So we had a wonderful evening last night, and it was a true testament to It Takes a Village. There were so many people helping, so many people lending a hand on so many different levels. What a community. So today we have our service being led by Miss Kiki Wiley. I'm so excited. She had a summer solstice or a summer sunset ceremony last night, and she's going to bring all kinds of stuff to us about what that means in its different kinds of ways. So we are now going to move into lighting our chalice. I don't know how to do that. Oh, okay. Well then. We light this chalice, as do churches across the country that are Unitarian Universalists who are meeting on a day like today. We are in a long line of community. And one moment. It's time for our opening words. Mm-hmm.
On this week of summer solstice, I'll be reflecting on mystery and wonder, talking about Newgrange in Ireland. I recently got back from my second trip to Ireland. And in particular, discuss how what our Stone Age ancestors believed about the sun's annual journey caused them to create places and spaces in the world that are magnificent and still stand and can leave us awestruck to this day.
Now it's me? Okay. She
Opening
pointed
hymn.
at me, that means. Did anybody recognize the song I was playing before? What was it? It was the Flintstones theme. I played it in a little different mode. Fred had more in him than we thought. So now, after long and hard committee decisions, we've changed the entire musical program, so your program is all on. So we're going to start with Chant for the Seasons, number 73 in the big book. And we're just going to do the last verse because it's only summer right now, so we don't need the other 4 seasons. I'll play through one and then we'll sing it. All right, here we go. Vernal clouds have turned the star wheel. Summer is upon us. Gliding are the hawks, hovering above the hot and yellow hillside. Vernal clouds have turned the star wheel. Summer is upon us. Crickets in the night, chirping in our ears, the sound of moonlit music. Vernal clouds have turned the star wheel. Summer is upon us.
And it's time for our story for all ages. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's what we have today, and the artwork's quite lovely. And this is called The Longest Day by Wendy Pfeffer. Oh, I didn't see you guys. Never mind, I'm going down there. Hi. I'm going to sit right over here. How's that work? Good morning. What's your name? Hi, Sadie. I know you, Sadie. Hi. And I know you, and I know you. All right, everybody. So this is called The Longest Day by Wendy Pfeffer. The first day of summer, called the summer solstice, has more daylight hours than any day of the year, making it the longest day. The sun spreading warmth and light has always been important to people. Warm sunshine and more daylight hours make for a good growing season to supply life-giving food. I like the bees and the butterfly. I don't know where this fits in, but I'm sure it does. Early people observed and recorded how the sun appeared to move through the sky. They used many methods to chart the sun's path. Oh, thank you. Ancient Greeks measured the shadow of a tall pillar. The shorter shadow occurred on the longest day in summer when the midday sun was high in the sky. The longest shadow appeared in the shortest day in winter when the midday sun was low in the sky. Do you ever do this with your shadows? See them on the sidewalk or somewhere? If you haven't, you should give it a try. It's really cool. The Chumash Indian of California painted a sunburst around an opening in the ceiling of a cave. They called it the House of the Sun. During the mid-afternoon on the longest day, the sun's rays streamed through the opening. When the sunlight beamed on the quartz crystal wedge in the ground, the Chumash Indians welcomed the summer solstice. Anybody recognize this? She says, Stonehenge. Thank you very much. I knew you'd know. 5,000 years ago in England, people began building structures to make these special times of year, to mark these special times of year. One prehistoric monument, Stonehenge, consists of a circle of stones. Some line up with the summer solstice sunrise, and others line up with the winter solstice sunset. Over a period of 1,500 years, workers hauled and rafted heavy bluestones and sandstones over 100 miles to Stonehenge. Can you imagine? Like, your backpack gets heavy after a while, right? Some stones were as long as a school bus, and they weighed, 50 tons. I don't know what that is, but that's a lot. 50 small cars? Thanks. 50 small cars about. That's heavier than, 8 large elephants. Using rollers, ramps, and ropes, they set each massive stone in place. No one knows who these amazing builders were or how they moved these gigantic stones such a long distance, but we do know they did it to celebrate the sun. During the hot weather, the days shorten and summer soon ends. Leaves fall, cool winds blow, bison start growing heavier coats, mountain goats wander down the windless pastures, and monarch butterflies migrate south to the warm skies of Mexico. The earth continues its orbit around the sun until the next June, when people in the northern part of the earth will once again enjoy the summer solstice and the longest day of the year. Lovely, isn't it? Thank you so much for listening, and now we're going to sing our children out.
May the long-time sun shine upon you. All the love surrounds you, and the long-time light within you guide your way home.
We're now going to go ahead and light our candles of joy and sorrow. This is an opportunity to share what's heavy in your heart, light in your heart, joyful in your heart. Or if you don't want to share, but you would just like to come join a candle, please do.
So this prayer, meditation, invocation is taken from the summer solstice ceremony of the Order of the Bards, Ovids, and Druids. So the first time I went to Ireland 20 years ago, there were just, I think, a few hundred people in the order, and now there's 30,000. 30,000, yeah. So just take a breath. We have come from the east and west, north and south, to be here together today. And we'll take 4 breaths together. The first one, together with the earth. The second, together with the sea. The third, together with the sky, with the heavens. And the final, 4th, in alignment with the light of the sun. With the blessings of the earth, the sea, the sky, and the sun, we ask, may ancient wisdom and eternal truth be warmed by the inner light of the sun, whose power today we acknowledge. Let us together, united by a bond of love, radiate peace and harmony into the world, sending healing energy to this earth, our home, for the sake of the next generation. May there be peace in the north. May there be peace in the south. May there be peace in the east. And to whatever spirits, angels, sages you might call to now, may there be peace in the world. Grant us protection, and in protection, strength. And in strength, understanding. And in understanding, knowledge. And in knowledge, justice. And in justice, the love of justice. And in the love of it, the love of all existence. And in the love of all existence, the love of spirit, seasons, and the cycle of creation. This reading is a poem called Pawns by Mary Oliver. Every year, the lilies are so perfect. I can hardly believe their lapped light crowding the black midsummer ponds. Nobody could count all of them. The muskrats swimming among the pads and the grasses can reach out their muscular arms and touch. Only so many. They are that rife and wild. But what in this world is perfect? I bend closer and see how this one is clearly lopsided, and that one wears an orange blight. This other one has a glossy cheek half nibbled away, and that one is slumped like a purse full of its own unstoppable decay. Still, what I want in my life is to be willing to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts, and maybe even to float a little above this difficult world. I want to believe I am looking into the white fire of a great mystery. I want to believe that the imperfections are nothing and that the light is everything. And I do.
We're going to do number 131 in the big book, Love Will Guide Us. Please sing along. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope to side us, we'll leave the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Good morning. What a beautiful day, isn't it? As I mentioned, I just got back about a month ago from my second trip to Ireland. The first trip was 20 years ago, and lots happened since then in Ireland, in all of our lives. But about the time that I was there, they started having a big push, both culturally and politically, to return to the language of Irish. So my experience this time was encountering many more people speaking Irish, and everywhere you go, like menus or monuments, the plaques are in Irish and English. In the Irish language, and I learned very quickly not to call it Gaelic. It is Irish. The casual and seeming very Irish way to greet people is by asking, Ayan Shkal, and it means, what's your story? I'm going to start asking people that when I meet them. What's your story? So my story today is about my first trip to Ireland, almost exactly 20 years ago. My oldest daughter, Brianne, was headed to her semester abroad in London, and I planned a trip to Ireland on our way to drop her off, because, got to drop them off if they're going to London. But so that my daughters could experience their Irish heritage, which is from their father's side. I, at that time, had no idea my heritage. Some family members had tried to figure out where we came from, to no avail. But since I didn't maybe know what mine was, I was very invested in them experiencing theirs. So both Brianne and I were in college, actually, pursuing our bachelor's degrees at the same time. Hers in law and society, and mine in anthropology. And I was taking an archaeology class and negotiating with the teacher to have some time off from the class. I was given the assignment to visit an archaeological site and do a report when I got back. This is before like all that Googling stuff was really easy too. So I did some quick research, and I found out that there's a archaeological park about 20 minutes north of the Dublin airport. So here's my idea. In some way that I thought was going to be super efficient, we flew for 18 hours, 3 legs of a flight. My husband, my 2 teenage daughters, and 6-year-old son, with very little food and very little sleep. And then my brilliant idea was just, let's cross that archaeological park off first. And we rented a car, a teeny tiny Fiat, where you sit on the wrong side and you drive on the wrong side. And it was manual, so you also had to negotiate a stick shift with your left hand. And I don't think they were very happy with me. So we find our way to the archaeological park. It's called Brúna Boyne. It's on the Boyne River. And it did take a little bit longer to get there. Another thing that I learned is the roads in Ireland are very narrow. So if you look at a map like you would in California, you say, oh, that'll take me 20 minutes, but it's more like 3 times as long. Then we get there, and I find out that they only allow 12 people in at a time in 15-minute intervals to see Newgrange, which is the main feature there. And that was what I was planning to do my report on, and there were hundreds of people waiting. Yep. But plowing ahead, I purchased the tickets and insisted that we wait. And so we were sort of in a visitor center, not really unlike this place, waiting for several hours for our time ticket to become available. We purchased our tickets, waited for our time slot, and learned a little bit about what we were about to see. The park has passage tombs, cairns, henges, and stone circles, all built around 3,200 BC. And it's a continuous discovery, but most, if not all of them, are aligned with the movements of the sun. Maybe some planets thrown in there as well. And prominently, solstices and equinoxes. So I have to admit, solstices and equinoxes didn't really mean very much to me at that time, but clearly that's changed. So we waited. 2023 also happened to be the hottest summer in Ireland since 1540. 1540. So we California natives kind of basked in the sun, waiting for our time to come, and we observed the people. I would say we marveled at the people and their attempt to turn their winter or Irish wardrobes into summer wardrobes. It looked suspiciously like undergarments to us. And there was a lot of sunburned people too, really, really sunburned people. So finally it came time, and they sent us across a bridge, the bridge across the River Boyne, and it's a footbridge. And whoever did the design of the center, as you cross that footbridge, you really feel that you're walking back in time. No cars are allowed there. You know, the only vehicle, as a matter of fact, was, I say it felt a lot like a time machine. It was a retro teal Mercedes bus. It was ancient and impeccable, and it had just exactly the right amount of seats for the people who had time tickets, which was curious. Have you ever been on a bus that has just exactly the right amount of seats? But apparently, this is so the driver knows immediately If someone's tried to stow away in one of the monuments, apparently that's a thing. So if all the seats aren't filled on the bus does not leave until they go find that person. I wish I'd thought of that myself. I would have liked to have done that. And we kind of rumbled along on this hot day with the windows open and the countryside becoming more and more like you would have imagined it in ancient times, until we reached Newgrange. So Newgrange is a passage tomb. It's a freestanding round structure about the size of an American football field, and it's made of earth and stone. It's surrounded by 97 curbstones, each weighing about 5 tons. And it has a corbelled ceiling. My husband's a structural engineer, but I really don't completely understand. But the rocks go around and around and around, lying on top of each other, and the rocks themselves hold it up. That corbelled ceiling holds up 200,000 tons of earth and stone. And then the facade of this round mound in the front is covered with white quartz crystal. So in ancient Ireland, 2 things that they had, mineral-wise, was gold and quartz crystal, and sometimes the gold was in the quartz crystal. A small window above the entrance is arranged so that on the winter solstice, at sunrise, the inner passage is filled with light. Can you imagine? These are Stone Age people, Neolithic, who to our knowledge had no pen and paper, no hammer or nail, no brick and mortar. They had no wheel. Dedicating themselves to the astounding feats of astronomy and architecture that must have taken multiple generations, possibly hundreds or thousands of years, to transport stones that weighed 5 tons for over 50 miles, just so that on the winter solstice, the rising sun could pour through this little window and light up the internal chamber for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Has anyone heard of Newgrange before, or Brunaboyne? Has anyone been?
We saw the visitor center.
Aha, you didn't, Did you get inside?
Yeah.
Ah.
We went inside and saw the simulation of the rising solstice sun. It's beautiful. It helps them to send their souls
Yeah,
to the great hereafter.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. So when I tell people who are going to Ireland, or ask people, most people haven't heard of it. I tell people going to Ireland, I tell them they have to go. And they're like, it's not in the guidebook. I look in the guidebook, it's not in the guidebook. I look on the blogs of all the things to do when you're in Ireland, and it's not there. Maybe it's because it's called a passage tomb. That's not very, I don't know, it doesn't give it this picture in your mind of something you want to see. But it's really an ancient temple of astronomical, spiritual, and ceremonial importance. And in fact, Brunaboyne, which is the valley and the center, the information center, actually means Palace of the Boyne. I might write them a letter and suggest they get a better PR agency. So I invite you to close your eyes and imagine yourself as part of our little group of 12 as we approach the entrance to Newgrange. So soften your eyes. Take a nice grounding breath. We approach the entrance curbstone. It's covered in triple spirals. It's believed to be meant to create a barrier between this world and the next. The quartz facade catches the light, and as we pass through, we are symbolically cleansed. We squeeze our way, crouching, single file through the tight passage made for people much smaller than we are today. We brush against the cool stones as we make our way. Some are carved with spirals, circles, chevrons, and even serpents of Neolithic art. Here again, we see a carved triple spiral. It's pretty much the emblem of Ireland today. As we reach the chamber, the space opens up. We can stand up straight and move around, stretch a little, take a deep breath. And now imagine the sun is rising and casting a sunbeam through a small window over the entry. We watch it slowly travel up the passage to fill our dark chamber and bathe us in its light. And it takes our breath away. We too bask in that light for about 15 minutes, and then it begins to recede. Not to be seen again for a year, and that's if it's a clear day in Ireland. We follow the light back out of the passage, blinking in the sun as we adjust, struck by the awe of it all. And if your eyes are softened or closed, blink them open. You may, or you may keep them closed. Some say the light was a portal to another world, perhaps a bridge to the afterlife, uniting the deceased with their sun god. Some say the chamber is symbolic of the womb of the earth, and the sunbeam plants a seed to bring about rebirth. Irish mythology says the Tuatha De Danann, a tribe of supernatural beings that inhabited the island before humans arrived, built it. I'm placing my money there. The truth is, we don't know. We were awestruck, and I believe that was the intention of Newgrange's creators. My experience there has called to me for the last 20 years. I now teach a series of college courses on the psychology of meaning making, including the meaning we make from the experience of awe. Interestingly, the psychology of awe as something different than a jumble of emotions that we feel at one time also began 20 years ago, in 2003. The research tells us that when we experience awe, our ego loses its grip. I like that idea. Loses its grip. The idea of ourselves as the center of our world falls away. Our mind is liberated to think differently. And at least temporarily, we see the world through new eyes. Importantly, the experience of awe has been shown to stimulate our bodies to overcome a wide range of dis-ease, from anxiety to inflammation, and it makes people feel kind and generous. There's many components, but here are three. Vastness. You're struck by the grandness of an experience and you feel humbled. And that can take place, standing at the Grand Canyon, visiting Newgrange, but perhaps when a feral cat lays kittens in your yard and you see things in a new way. Your brain is challenged to take in and understand information, a new concept, or change its understanding of an old idea. And it is frequently accompanied by a physical reaction, and you gasp, or you have chills. Maybe your heart races a little bit. The best news is that we can open ourselves to more experiences of awe. One way is to revisit an experience of awe that you've had. So let's pause again. And I invite everyone, again, soften your eyes if you like, and turn inward and think back to a personal experience of awe. And now notice if you feel any kind of shift inside yourself. Any kind of emotion. And they recommend, the psychologists who study awe, that a way to bring yourself back to that experience, or some of the ways, but one way is to take a picture of whatever it was that gave you that awesome experience. And I make it your screensaver, for goodness sakes. Another is just to be purposeful. So in one of the studies, they have a certain number of students climb a bell tower at the university and stare off at the landscape before they come back down to do their writing assignments. And those students report back that they are much more inspired. My experience at New Grange continued to resonate with me. I often contemplate the mystery. I've dived into the study of archaeoastronomy, not just in Ireland, but the ancient sites that Tracy was telling us about in the Story for All Ages. The awe of the power of the sun with our ancient ancestors appears to be universal. A while back, I did my 23andMe and found out that I am, in fact, genetically Irish. Whoa! And it made so much sense to me, and it really put me on track to want to go there again and have the experience again, perhaps in a different way without cranky children. It also told me I'm more Neanderthal than the majority of people, and that also really resonates with me. I mean, no wonder I like to look at old stones and ruins, right? So, how many times did we say towards the end of COVID? Whatever, sometime when I thought we were closing on the end of COVID, I made the decision that as soon as I could make it happen, travel safely, that I would go back. And I found this trip, a 2-week trip, that was an archaeology trip for spiritual seekers. One of our guides was the chosen leader of the order of bards, ovits, and druids that I read the invocation from. Every day, we visited these various different sites, and oftentimes she performed some sort of ceremony or ritual, taught us some chants in Irish. The one I remember she taught us is the simple chant of Awen, sort of a long Awen. And it's really similar to Om, so I practice yoga also. Om. And it has a similar creation story to what we often hear from biblical readings. In the beginning, there was the Word. So our trip ended where the last trip began, with a visit to New Grange. And this time we were able to arrange for a little group of spiritual seekers to chant Awen inside the chamber. And so we did. Hearing our voices resonate within the stones created a whole new level of awe, and I felt as though I was one with the spirits of my ancestors there. And I learned something new. The New Grange chamber is also an echo chamber that defies modern acoustics. Isn't that amazing? When it was time to leave, we hopped right back on what appeared to be the same bus. A still immaculate, retro teal Mercedes. And it rumbled along the Irish countryside and carried us ever so gently back to the present. Thank you for listening to my story.
I'll point back.
Well, that left me a little awestruck. I don't know about you guys, and since a sense of awe encourages a sense of generosity. Thank you for that, Kiki. Please give generously as our offer. It's time for our offertory.
If you like Emily Dickinson, you'll probably like this song. It's based on an Emily Dickinson poem, and the song is written by Mary Amadon. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life from aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain. I shall not live in vain.
Thank you, Gary, for making sure that we are musically carried from one moment to the next and in such a lovely way. And now for our affirmation of gratitude. I know it's always comforting to know what's up there. And it kind of supersedes whether or not it's in here. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for all those who share their gifts, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may experience the generosity of others.
All right, we're going to do everybody's favorite hymn. It's in the little book, 1064. This hymn is never allowed by UU law to be sung alone, so everybody has to sing along. Blue Boat Home.
And stand up if you
stand
are
up.
able.
Stand up in your blue boat home, but don't fall out. Ready? Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling oceans, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way to the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me. Hail the great winds urging me on. Greet the infinite sea before me. Sing the sky a sailor's song. Well, I was born upon the fathoms. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Let's do that last line again. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
That's a new hymn for me, and I adore it. This church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences, beneath all our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us. Forever together in spite of time and death and the space between the stars, we pause in silent witness to that unity.
May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts now and forevermore. So be it. Amen. Shalom. Salam. Namaste. And blessed be.
And now our service truly begins.
Today's service was about awe, and there's nothing that invokes more awe than love. So we have uncovered a finding that's actually a book that explains love. So here's the song called The Book of Love. The book of love is long and boring. No one can lift the damn thing. It's full of charts and facts and figures and instructions for dancing. But I love it when you read to me, and you can read me anything. The book of love has music in it. In fact, that's where music comes from. Some of it's just transcendental, but some of it's just really dumb. But I love it when you sing to me, and you can sing me anything. The book of love is long and boring and written very long ago. It's full of flowers and heart-shaped boxes and things we're all too young to know. But I love it when you give me things, and you ought to give me wedding rings, and I love it when you give me things, and you ought to give me wedding rings. The book of love is long and boring. No one can lift the damn thing. That's it. Go buy some things from the auction.